Today's Rant Files is brought to you by pointless updates and ignoring user outcry. I'm going to try to keep this video under 10 minutes long, but I'll try to keep it a little bit amusing for your enjoyment of my rage. After all, what is a lot of stand-up other than people raging in comedic purpose? Not that I'm trying to stand up, I'm actually sitting down. Today, we're going to talk about a website that shall remain anonymous, because I don't like pointing any grubby fingers. But maybe you could figure it out. But you probably won't, because this isn't a very big website. It's not big by any means, but it is bigger than, say, a small-time forum website from the 1990s that has evolved into a place where you would go to find written walkthroughs of every game in existence from the 1970s to today. It is one of the one-stop shops for game save files, questions to ask about a video game, all that good crap. It is one of the most respected websites in my opinion. And they have kept their website very simple. They have kept the user quality of life very simple. Anybody from an older PC, from running Windows 95 to today, can open this website and see it without too much lag. And it is beautiful. But then, let's say we have another website. We have this other one that has a little bit more money under their belt. This website has a lot of people on at a time, whereas this one usually has 1,000 to 2,000 people on at any one time. This one usually has anywhere between 50,000 to 150,000 people on at any one time of a day. And that's just for one of the clients that they have. A client versus their browser-based system is the point of contention for today's Rant Files. A client-based thing is, let's say, for the first 10 years or so of this site's lifespan, they primarily focused on the client. Something you would go to their website and download a program to be able to boot up from your desktop to run this service with little difficulty. Even your older computer that runs Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 7, they can run this client with minimal difficulty. You would have varying degrees of lag depending upon how high or how many tabs you have open on this thing, naturally. But you could use this service with minimal difficulty. Then, let's say after about 5 to 10 years, they start getting the idea that maybe they should make a browser-based system so they don't have to worry about running a client program or care about any of that stuff. Maybe it's a bit too complicated for them, who knows. Maybe some people wanted a browser-based version, kind of like how the major social media platforms such as the Facebook and the MySpace are using. Maybe they thought they'd make something like that, so they implement a browser-based client instead of the desktop-based client. And when they make the browser-based, they start marketing towards it. They start pulling all of their resources towards the browser base instead, and leaving the client to die. The amount of updates you would get towards this client every following day or so dwindles. You would get maybe an update per year instead of an update every couple of months. And the updates would just start getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The amount of updates I could say that the client for this website in particular has received over the past 3 years would probably be 3, which isn't very good in my opinion. But then the updates for these 3 things did really very little to this service. For one of them, they said they were addressing some forms of crashes when loading products, which the service did have problems with, and which I would say has been improved somewhat since this update, so I'm not going to give this one any problems. This one, though, was saying the exact same thing as this one, though. And they were adding some little bit of security, they were moving some things around, and it just kind of felt very redundant. And then for the latest one here, this one, they wanted to move some tabs around from the home screen. Let's say the music tab was on the top right. Well, now it's on the top middle. And then the chat rooms tab would be in the middle, and now it's on the bottom left. They just moved some things around. Doesn't look like they did anything else. That felt very redundant as well, which means that the only pretty much useful update that we have received within the past 2 to 3 years is one of them. There are plenty of problems with this client that I would try to address, such as the block system. Let's say that this client system has a form of newsfeed tab that you can open to see posts from people worldwide. The filter option could be improved, but you could see worldwide, your country, or your county state of residence. That's how much you could filter it. So, naturally, most people just go to worldwide because a lot of people lie about which country they're in anyway, so we just stay at worldwide, right? And we have 2 tabs to which you could see these posts. You could see the Everybody tab and your Friends Only tab. The Friends Only tab, I have no problems with that. One's fine. But the Everyone tab needs some work. The block system in this program that they use, if you block a user, if that user blocks you, normally this would mean that they cannot find you. When they search your name to look for chat rooms and all that crap, they cannot respond to your posts, and you cannot respond to their posts, yada yada yada. But the big glowing flaw is that if you would make a post onto this newsfeed on the Everyone tab, the person that you have blocked can see it. Let's say they use that to continue to harass you, maybe on alternate accounts, etc. But they could see your posts from the person that you have blocked. They can still see your stuff, and that means they could still harass you and bother you and cause you a blah 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 blah. Maybe this account that you have blocked is basically a spammer that's spamming you. For example, you're trying to report all those posts, but then nothing's happening, so you just go around and block them to try to get rid of them, but they're still there! They're still posting, and you can still see them! And you're like, why can't I get rid of this person? Why can't I make him go away? So, I would say, and I have often tried to say, when you block somebody, you shouldn't be able to see their posts on the Everyone feed of this news feed. And vice versa. You shouldn't be able to see anything that they post. They shouldn't be able to see anything that you post. Everybody goes their own separate ways. Blocking is the ultimate defense against internet harassment. But if you cannot completely block somebody who is bothering you, then they could still find ways to harass you, which means you have to continue submitting help tickets and report files, which will proceedingly get ignored or responded in an automatic bot response, blah blah blah, and nothing gets done. So if you don't want all of these redundant help tickets and posts and stuff filling up your inbox and report feeds, staff, perhaps you could fix your block system to make it so that it's a complete and total block! That is the type of update that I don't find redundant. That is the type of update that I find completely useful. And that is the type of update I would click accept to download and install to increase the quality of life of your service. And I think I'm not alone in that. There are a lot of services that could utilize this and increase their block feature and make it worthwhile. Instead of working on redundant updates, redundant browser-based services, and all sorts of flashy colors and lights that ultimately do nothing. There are things that you can do. Just listen to the people, even if it's a small voice. That small voice might represent a large crowd that has ultimately given up on trying to ask you to fix something. Maybe listen to them. Then again, I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody. This is just Rant Files. Be imaginative, everybody.